Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to on the show here today. We got some more highlights coming up, also some prospects to talk about, but we have actual games to talk about. We have actually seen the Brewers play baseball over the weekend, so we got to talk about it here as Cactus League play has officially gotten started. The Brewers have had their first 3 games already. They had a split squad on Sunday, the Cactus League opener on Saturday. Sadly, the Brewers have lost all 3 of these games so far. They're 0-3 in Cactus League play. But the good news is, these games don't matter at all. I don't care if they win or lose. It does not matter. Yeah, they lose to the White Sox. They lose to the Royals. Lose to Cleveland. Okay, cool. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay? I'm not worried about it. The Saturday game was pitched entirely with minor leaguers. Okay, there was not a single guy in Major League camp pitching in that Cactus League opener. Okay, so I am not worried about that in the slightest. I'm excited to see these guys on the mound for 1 inning is really all that we're seeing them for through this first, go around this first week or so of spring training. That's all we're going to see. It is going to be guys going 1 inning, 20 pitches-ish at most. And then that's going to be it. And then it's on to the next guy. You're going to see 9-10 pitchers in a game every single time. So that's okay. We get to see all of these different guys. We get to run down the list. All these minor league pitchers getting some game action. You're going to have some guys as well who are on the big league staff on Saturday's game. Or Saturday's games going across. You had Robert Gasser starting. You had, DL Hall pitching. You had Logan Henderson starting. You had all these guys who are in that mix for the big league team. So you get all of them in there, and you just see a little bit. You get some throws in. Try and dial some stuff in, some stuff that they've been working on, and see how it goes. So, and that's really kind of some of the exciting things that I saw. Logan Henderson, we'll talk about him here in a little bit. But yeah, you get the pitchers, you get all those guys going in. You get the hitters, some at-bats as well. And the Brewers are playing a bunch of their starters early on in spring training here because they are going to be in the World Baseball Classic. So we're seeing William Contreras and Jackson Chourio and Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz here all in these early games. And, that's good. You get to see them early on. They get some more at-bats under their belt as they get ready to go to the WBC. But was it one of those guys that hit the first home run of spring training? No, it was not. If we were taking bets, which maybe we should have on this show, on who was going to hit the first home run of spring training for the Brewers, how many of you would have bet Brandon Lockridge? That's right, Brandon Lockridge, acquired for Nestor Cortez last summer, played about a month in the major leagues, and he ends up going 440 for the first bomb of the spring. Absolutely fantastic for him. I still think he's outside of the roster picture just with the amount of outfield depth that the Brewers have, but you'll love to see it. Make it difficult on the Brewers. Because every single year, and I've talked about this, every single year there is somebody that surprises in spring training and just goes off, just has an insane 6-week heater during camp, and they can end up pushing themselves either into roster contention right away or at the very least, earlier on in the season. Perhaps Brandon Lockridge could be that guy. It's a crowded outfield mix. I don't think he's going to make the roster. When you're looking at Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell, Blake Perkins, and Jackson Chourio, that's it, plus Christian Yelich, plus Jake Bauers can play some outfield. That's a pretty deep group. There's only so many roster spots to go around. You only have 26 total. 13 of them are going to pitchers. So there's only really so much room for him. But that doesn't mean he can't make a really strong impression here in camp. So Brandon Lockridge went yard on Saturday. Also on Sunday, Akil Baddoo went yard. Speaking of the outfield picture and the depth there, I didn't even mention Akil Baddoo and him trying to put himself in that mix. He went 430 to dead center, so 10 feet shorter than Brandon Lockridge. So I don't know, got to step it up, Akil. But still, Akil Baddoo goes yard. Great to see that. And Brock Wilken went yard, which hitting it into the wind in Arizona and just absolutely cranking a massive home run. Wilkin has as much power as anyone in that Brewers system. In this entire organization, he's got as much power as anyone. So it's great to see. He's had a really unlucky past couple of seasons with injuries. So with a fully healthy, hopefully season this year from Wilkin, I think we could see him in the majors. I mean, especially if he keeps hitting like this, starting off strong, obviously. But if he can light it up in AAA this year, where he's going to start, we could very easily see him in the very quickly in the future in Milwaukee, because Luis Rengifo is currently your third baseman, and Luis Rengifo is not going to hold back Brock Wilkin. If the Brewers feel Brock Wilkin is ready, he is going to get that third base spot, and Rengifo will move. Rengifo. I have to correct myself. I have to just kind of mentally put that. I'm going to do that quite a bit throughout the season, aren't I? Probably. But Rengifo, he could easily move back to that utility spot where he likely best belongs. But he's going to be at third base for the time being until Wilkin or someone else can prove that they're ready to handle the hot corner. If Wilkin keeps hitting like that, keeps hitting bombs like that, he could be ready for third base sooner rather than later. Also, just kind of note on one of the prospects, Josh Adamczewski got into the game against the White Sox on Sunday and turned around 99.7 miles an hour and hit a ground rule double to left. Took it to the opposite field, pitch outside, so you got to take it oppo, and he roped a ground rule double, turning around basically 100 miles an hour. Very impressive for Adamczewski. Very exciting young prospect, and certainly one of my top 50, which we'll also be talking about later on in the show here. I want to also bring up the TV broadcast. So this was the first TV broadcast of the year, but they used the Chicago White Sox broadcast team. And so I'm trying to watch, the game and see how it's going. And I'm listening to the broadcasters. And they talked about, here's all the guys that the Brewers lost from this offseason. They traded Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers. They traded Caleb Durbin and Mona. It's like, okay, cool. Then they're like, yeah, Brandon Woodruff hit free agency. Jordan Montgomery's gone too. I'm like, guys, first of all, Brandon Woodruff is back with the Brewers, okay? He accepted the qualifying offer. This happened months ago, okay? This is not a new thing. I know that you're the White Sox broadcast, but come on. You gotta do a little bit of homework here. You gotta know Brandon Woodruff is back. It only would have been so much more funny if Woodruff was actually pitching in this game. I know he wasn't, and he wasn't going to, but still, it just would have been so much funnier. But okay, Brandon Woodruff is actually back, Chicago White Sox. Secondly, Jordan Montgomery? Yes, he was technically on the Brewers. Yes, he was a free agent and signed with Texas. But Jordan Montgomery never threw a pitch for the Milwaukee Brewers. They acquired him at the deadline only so that they didn't have to give up a prospect. Just because the Arizona Diamondbacks wanted to get him out of there because the owner hated him. That's it. Okay? So, they lost Jordan Montgomery from last year's team. Not really. Jordan Montgomery was never really on the team. Okay? He was there like one day. He just kind of showed up, said hi, and just kind of went back on his rehab. That was it. So, let's step it up. I know it's spring training for everyone. I know it's the first broadcast. But my goodness, White Sox, we gotta step it up here. We gotta do a little bit more homework on the opponent. My goodness. Okay. Moving on. I just had to be on my soapbox there for a little bit, just kind of as a broadcaster. It's just kind of important to me that some of those things are right, even though I keep saying Rengifo wrong. But still, that's beside the point. Okay, moving on. Pitcher highlights, okay, that I want to get to here. Logan Henderson. That's going to be my highlight here as we're kind of going through a bunch of the guys in camp, highlighting pitchers, highlighting hitters, guys who are going to be on the team or competing for roster spots, and just kind of looking at what their season might be. Logan Henderson certainly in that camp of competing for a roster spot. And it's a very crowded rotation picture, as we've talked about, just with the number of pitchers that the Brewers have brought in, bringing in Kyle Harrison, bringing in Brandon Sproat, bringing in Shane Drowan as well, plus all the other young pitchers that the Brewers already had. It's a crowded group that the Brewers have, trying to fill out those final couple of spots in that starting rotation. Top three likely locked in, 2 spots most likely up for grabs. So Logan Henderson one of the Brewers' top prospects, been in the organization for a while, drafted in the 4th round a couple of years ago out of JUCO. And the Brewers love their junior college arms. That much is for sure. But Henderson has been a top prospect for a while, and he's now put himself in that camp. He was dealing with a little bit of a injury. Was kind of up early on in the season. Made a couple of really impressive starts. 1.78 ERA this past season. Really, really good. And then he goes back down, and the rotation was pretty strong, after a while there. So didn't really get a chance to come back up much. And then, he does, and then he has to deal with an injury. And that kind of puts him a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to make the postseason roster and things like that. So he ends up with just the 5 games and a 1.78 ERA. But I think Logan Henderson absolutely can make himself and has a pretty good track to be in that initial starting rotation this year. Can he hold on to it? We shall see. But I think he's got a good chance, especially now with reports out that he is adding a curveball. And we saw that curveball in action as he made his first spring training outing here on Sunday. He only threw one curveball in that outing, but that curveball had a minus 13 induced vertical break, minus 8 inches horizontal break, way more movement than his slider. Jack Stern, my guy, my buddy, he's been all over it. So he has added this curveball in, started trying to reintroduce it from college as something that goes to his glove side. Which is very important to have. I mean, if you got pitches all moving the same side, same direction, even if you're changing speeds, fastball, changeup, hitters are still going to be able to get onto it. You need something moving the other way in order to get those hitters off balance and not really knowing where the ball is going to be going. And that's how you get to miss bats. That's how you end up having success at the major league level. So reintroducing that is important, and the nastiness of just the one curveball that he threw in his first game was very important. So with that reintroduced, with being able to have a couple pitches to throw in glove side to pair with his really good pitches that move arm side, that he's really putting himself in a strong spot to earn a starting rotation gig. And not just spending the year in AAA. There's really not much left for him to prove in AAA. Same really goes for a lot of these guys, but for Henderson, having been with the Brewers for so long, perhaps that might give him a little bit of a leg up. He knows the organization a bit more. The organization knows him a bit more. So that could certainly help with him. But Henderson, I could very easily see him being a regular starter and being able to put up, a 3-something probably ERA throughout the season. I think that's certainly very much in the realm of possibility for him, as it is really for all of these starting pitchers. If any of these guys start putting up an ERA around 4, they are going to be replaced. The Brewers have no shortage of replacement options. Okay. Now, there's a very decent chance also that Henderson does end up starting the year in AAA and just kind of gets called up periodically throughout as needs arrive. If you struggle for a couple of games, maybe they shift you down, bring someone else in, try them out. And like I've said before, the cream will rise to the top with this group. But I think Logan Henderson very well could easily be that. I think he could absolutely be that guy and have a strong season in that sense. So I'm very excited for what Logan Henderson is going to be able to bring this year and just kind of make things so exciting for Brewers and for the Brewers and Brewers fans because certainly they need it. It's been a long time since this team has been to a World Series. Obviously, 1982. I mean, for me, I was born just growing up. I was born in 1996, which means I'm turning 30 this year. Oh my goodness, that's that seems kind of scary. But so it's you want to see the success, the team actually get past the NLCS and get into the World Series. But you just kind of have that revelation. It's man, I'm turning 30 this year, and for a lot of people, that's certainly very worrisome. Because here's the thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Here's the thing, most men start losing testosterone around age 30, about 1% every single year after that. But I'm not worried because there's Mars Men. And with Mars Men, it's something natural that's going to support your body where you need it. It's designed to help free locked testosterone so that your body can actually use it. So, when you're 30 or way older than that, a lot of you guys may be looking at me like, 30? You're just such a young gun. You don't got to worry about that. But still, if I'm hitting 30 and already about to be starting to losing that testosterone, if you think I'm a young gun, then think of how much testosterone that's been lost too. I mean, for you guys. So with Mars Men, you can help free that locked testosterone. You don't have to lose it, and your body can actually use it. You don't got to deal with synthetics or needles, though. Don't be freaked out about any of that. It's just real ingredients that help optimize your energy, your focus, and strength. Because we want to be feeling strong, boys. Okay, we want to be strong. That's exactly how we got to be feeling. So Mars Men, it supports healthy T levels, energy, stamina, all the things you want. I mean, we're coming out of seasonal depression kind of season where sun gets low early. It's 4:30 and it's dark, and it's just you don't really have the energy to get through the day coming through winter. Totally get it, but that's what Mars Men can help you with. Give you that energy, give you that stamina to get through the day, have that drive, and keep pushing. And here's a great thing about it too. Made in the USA. Okay, we love products made in the United States of America right here. Okay. Because United States of America, I don't know if you noticed, we just won gold in hockey, all right? Think those boys were dealing with low testosterone levels? I don't think so. So, made in the USA, absolutely love it. And, it's exactly what you're going to need to help feel better throughout the day. And for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. And after you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Brewers Daily sent you. So very excited for that because, again, we don't want to be dealing with any sort of low T at all. And who's also not worried about that, not going to be dealing with that? Sal Frelick, okay? He's not going to be worried about that. Sal Frelick is going to be our hitter highlight here for today. And Sal, not playing for Team Italy this season in the World Baseball Classic, but Sal going to be a very big piece of this group this year. Very excited for what he's going to be able to do. The power ticked up quite a bit last year, which is nice to see. And he was still able to be productive. In terms of batting average, which is also important. Hit 288, 12 home runs, 351 on base, 756 OPS. And so you would think, I'm not sure how much more power is in there. I know talking about Bryce Terang, there was a lot more power to be unlocked with him. With Sal Frelick, I'm not sure if you're getting too much more than 12. Maybe 12 to 15 home runs a season is what you can look for out of him. But if he's hitting 288, 290, 300-ish again, that's something I'll absolutely take. I think we can see maybe a few more stolen bases out of him this year. Had 19 last year in his career high, up over 18 from 2024. Maybe he can crack 20 this year, so I'm very excited for what Sal can do. Obviously, a great defender out in right field, up to 3 wins above replacement last season. So maybe we can get to 3.5 for Sal this season. Just kind of keep progressing, keep moving upward. So I'm very excited for Sal Frelick and what he's going to be able to bring this season because he's just such an important part of this group, of what they do. And I think the Brewers should extend him, frankly. I'm not sure if they will, but I think that they should. So that's where I stand on Sal Frelick. They should extend him. He is just so freaking good that they should have. So, and finally here, what I want to get to, one of the guys that we've also been we've been talking about, some of the prospects. We see a lot of the prospects early on here in spring training. My top 50 Brewers prospects list is live now over at brewcrewball.com. So it's something I do every single year. Top 50 prospects in the Brewers organization. Guys who are going to be helping out soon. Guys who are farther away maybe from helping out. High upside guys further down in the minor leagues. A deep dive across the board for this Brewers farm system. The best farm system in all of baseball. Jesus Made, unsurprisingly, is going to be at number one on the list. When you go and check it out at Brew Crew Ball, it's number one on the list. So that certainly is not going to be a surprise to anyone, but I go 50 players deep on this list, and I highly encourage all of you to check it out over there. And it's such a good farm system that the Brewers have. Josh Adamczewski, as I mentioned, he's on that list as well, and he's not even in the top 10. That's how good this Brewers farm system is, that Josh Adamczewski isn't even in the top 10 of this prospect list. Now, granted, he may not get there before long. It could be very, very soon that he's in that top 10. But it's just such a deep group, and a lot of guys who are big league ready. A lot of guys who can help out soon. Jet Williams, Brandon Sproat, Logan Henderson, still on there, still prospect eligible. Robert Gasser as well. Brock Wilken, as I mentioned. He's potentially able to help out soon. So very excited for that list to be up. Be sure to check it out at Brew Crew Ball. And just let me know who your favorite Brewers prospect is. Who's the Brewers prospect that you are most excited to see this spring training? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to Brewers Daily. Get notified every single time a new episode drops. And follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. And appreciate you watching, appreciate you enjoying, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.